Shemu'el Ri'shon. Chapter 17. Now the Philistine gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Soko, which belongs to Yehudah, and pitched between Soko and Azekah in Ephek Damim. And Shaul and the men of Yasharel were gathered together, and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistine. And the Philistine stood on a mountain on the one side, and Yasharel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistine, named Goliath, of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span, and he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Yasharel, and said unto them, Why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, and ye servants to Shaul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants, and serve us. And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Yasharel this day. Give me a man, that we may fight together. When Shaul and all Yasharel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed, and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of that Ephrathi of Beit Lechem Yehudah, whose name was Yishai, and he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Shaul. And the 3 eldest sons of Yishai went and followed Shaul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliav the firstborn, and next unto him Avinadav, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Shaul. But David went and returned from Shaul to feed his father's sheep at Beit Lechem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Yishai said unto David his son, Take now for your brethren an ephah of this parched grain, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to your brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how your brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Shaul, and they, and all the men of Yasharel, were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistine. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with the keeper, and took, and went, as Yishai had commanded him. And he came to the trench, as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Yasharel and the Philistine had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistine, and spoke according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Yasharel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Yasharel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Yasharel is he come up, and it shall be, that the man who kills him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Yasharel. And David spoke to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that kills this Philistine, and takes away the reproach from Yasharel? For whom is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living Elohim? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that kills him. And Eliav his eldest brother heard when he spoke unto the men, and Eliav's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why came you down hither? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride, and the wickedness of your heart, for you are come down that you might see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spoke after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Shaul, and he sent for him. And David said to Shaul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Shaul said to David, You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Shaul, Your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living Elohim. David said moreover, Yahweh that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Shaul said unto David, Go, and Yahweh be with you. And Shaul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Shaul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on, and drew near unto David, and the man that bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about, and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that you come to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his Elohim. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give your flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, You come to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of Yahweh Tsevaoth, the Elohai of the armies of Yasharel, whom you have defied. This day will Yahweh deliver you into my hand, and I will smite you and take your head from you, And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Pelishtim this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Yashar'el. And all this assembly shall know that Yahweh saves not with sword and spear, for the battle is Yahweh's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Pelishti arose, and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted, and ran toward the army to meet the Pelishti. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Pelishti in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Pelishti with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Pelishti, and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran, and stood upon the Pelishti, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Pelishtim saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Yashar'el and of Yehudah arose, and shouted, and pursued the Pelishtim, until you come to the valley, and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Pelishtim fell down by the way to Sha'araim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Yashar'el returned from chasing after the Pelishtim, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Pelishti, and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. And when Shemu'el saw David go forth against the Pelishti, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, As your soul lives, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Pelishti, Abner took him, and brought him before Shaul with the head of the Pelishti in his hand. And Shaul said to him, Whose son are you, you young man? And David answered, I am the son of your servant Yishai the Beit Halachmi.